Hey YouTube, Nickel and Diamond It here again. So here you're probably noticing that something is missing, and this is part of a project that I've been wanting to start for some time now. I pulled out the gauge hood, which is a fairly simple operation, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and recover it. The gauge hood is fairly simple to remove. You just have two screws that come up from the bottom side up under here on both sides, and then the gauge hood basically pulls straight back because the clips go in. There are three clips that go in, and you can just kind of grab the hood carefully and pull straight back on it without applying any kind of strange pressures or anything like that. So we're going to be recovering that. We're also going to pull out and recover these A-pillars and this top piece of trim, and finally get a chance to make my my plugs for the visor. So stay tuned for how all that works. In order to start this properly, what you want to do is you want to lay out all of your pieces. You want to start by cleaning them, and you want to clean them really thoroughly with soap and water to make sure there's absolutely no dust. Then you want to get yourself some kind of material of the color and feel that you like. I chose a black suede-like material because I thought that it would be a nice sort of two-tone black accent in the interior. So you're going to want to also get yourself a can of something like 3M Super 77 adhesive. So you want to start here by cutting out your material about 3 or 4 inches if you can around the outside of your pieces, and then start applying some of the adhesive to one end and lay on your fabric and start smoothing it over, making sure that there's no bubbles. If you do this within about 15 minutes of applying the adhesive, you can start smoothing everything out with your hand or a small, dull, flat instrument like a, wooden paint stick or something. Then you can continue to smooth out all the sort of nooks and crannies of whatever the piece you're trying to cover are. The next piece I start to work on is the visor delete panels in this case, because the visors in the Miatas are pretty useless for someone my height. They just obscure what's left of the already too tiny windshield. So the process you've seen before in other videos. If not, go check them out. You basically make your master pattern, transfer it to something like this election sign material. It's lightweight, inexpensive, easy to use. Cover it, and then you apply it to the interior later. Go screw it back in. So the top trim piece around the windshield, same kind of process as covering all of the others. You just go around carefully smoothing and pulling and tucking and stretching the fabric, and once you've got it to cooperate, you want to cut some of the holes for whatever your lighting panels and interior components are, so that you can still get them through all of the holes that were in the trim in the first place. The gauge hood is a much more complicated piece in terms of shape and compound curves, but the process is still again the same. You spray part of it, start applying and smoothing, spray some more adhesive, let it get tacky for 10 to 15 minutes, and then continue smoothing. Same thing around the corners. Once you start getting to some of the more compound curves, you want to leave those free of adhesive initially, like I'm trying to show here. Then you want to lay the fabric over the top of the corners, kind of stretch it, play around with it, get a feel for how it's going to stretch and behave to begin with, and you can adhere it to sort of the front, but then you're going to need to start arranging to make your pie cuts. You can see the overlapping folds in the fabric, and you'll see that I make some slices in those using a box cutter or some razor blade, something that's really sharp. Once those are cut, then you can go back in and apply the adhesive and overlap your pie cuts, and they will stick up because they'll kind of pile on top of each other, and that's okay because that's what you want here. Then you go back in and you cut the seam between the two, so whatever that overlap is, you cut right through that overlap with a really sharp box cutter, then lay them back down and you'll get a nice seam, and it doesn't matter whether it's a jagged cut or not because they'll overlap cleanly, and then you brush the suede and you'll never be able to see it. So then trim off the excess once you've wrapped it around the inside, leaving at least an inch or so if you can, to have it adhere. And once you've done this for, in this case probably hours, you end up with a pretty good looking piece. And then you go reinstall everything back in the interior, and your Toyota Corolla or your Miata is now just like a Ferrari.